What superstition do you believe that is true? When you work in food service and it's slow, so you decide to make yourself something to eat. As soon as you finish making it, you will get a huge rush and won't be able to eat until your sandwich, burrito, whatever is cold. It's a curse. Or if you say or think, man, we're slow tonight, there will be a rush. My mother will only call when it is the absolute most inconvenient time possible. If you're splitting the atom with your right hand and curing cancer with your left, while looking for your car keys because you're late for a meeting with the governor, and the cell phone at the bottom of your purse that you can't find rings, it's my mother. For a while I believed that if I wore anything with my team's badge on it while they play, they wouldn't win. A series of coincidences reinforced this belief, which is of course nonsense. But could you afford to take a chance when you're playing your rivals? Every time my partner went to a game, my team would lose. One sport, she has been to a single game. It was the only game my team lost that year. This went on for 3 years. She finally attended a win this year. Don't talk about money in front of the appliances. They are listening, and one will break down as soon as it hears the word bonus. Similarly, never criticize your car or discuss buying a new car anywhere that your current car can hear you. It will be sure to break in an expensive fashion. Working in healthcare, the full moon brings the crazies and the babies. Also, saying it's a quiet night will most definitely get you death stares. Beginner's luck is almost certainly a thing among gamblers. The people who aren't lucky early on probably don't keep gambling. Thespian superstition says Macbeth is a cursed play. Saying its name inside the theater will bring tragedy unless you immediately go outside, spin around 3 times, spit, and shout a curse word. Putting on the play is also a lightning rod for bad luck. Things are harder to find when you are looking for them. For example, I have a box of assorted cutlery, and in that box there are teaspoons with short handles and teaspoons with long handles in about equal quantity. When I want one, I can only find the other. PCS can be cursed. My co-workers also believe this. Some PCS are just plain bad luck since coming from the manufacturer. Co-worker, her Office 2016 has broken. What's her PC's name? I point to her PC name on my screen. Co-worker size, it had to be that one. That might actually be true. A CPU could have a manufacturing error small enough to pass QC, but enough that it sometimes fails in undeniable ways. Every time you marvel at your good luck, it will turn bad. It just will. Worse is if you say this out loud. You're done for. Knocking on wood. I always do this. Yup, I think I'm doing okay in life. Then suddenly I go frick something up by making a bad decision. So I guess all I have to do is stay miserable and maybe my life will stay mediocre but not completely fricked. Crap, I'm half Cuban, half Irish. I'm a walking superstition machine. Babies wear a gold pin with a jet bead and a coral bead attached. It's called an azabash and it both protects bad spirits from attacking your baby, as well as from the mal de ojo evil eye. They wear it until they're 1. Divination, via a spirit board but not a Ouija board for some reason. Pendulums, dowsing rods, etc. is still used. My abuelo taught me how to make and use dowsing rods when I was a little kid. I don't exactly believe it, but dang if I don't pay a little more attention to crap. If you see a white horse, you lick your thumb, press it into the palm of your other hand, and then punch it. They're bad luck. If you're holding hands with someone while walking, and you have to let go because there's a power pole or something, you both have to say bread and butter to stop fate from separating you. Conversely, if you make a couple let go of each other's hands to let you pass between them, you will be cursed with ill luck in love for a whole year. If you spill salt while cooking, you have to take a pinch and toss it over your left shoulder, because the devil is looking over your shoulder and you just punked that bee in the eye. Painting or putting a decorative door against a surface lets fairies come through. They do sell fairy doors as decoration based on this superstition. Putting a glass bottle in your flower garden will attract fairies to live there. You leave a little cup of milk and a crust of bread on your windowsill overnight to feed the fairies. It makes them nicer. When your cat suddenly stares at some crap that isn't there and then goes apeshit chasing it all over the house, it's chasing a fairy to eat it. If you don't want fairies, you buy a cat. You have to have beans with bacon and fresh grapes. At New Year's, you eat the grapes through the afternoon, starting by eating 1 at 1 PM and ending by eating 12 at midnight. Beans with bacon are eaten at dinner. Both are for good luck and prosperity in the coming year. A besom broom, traditional old style broom made of twigs. I buy mine from Trader Joe's during the first week of December. It smells like cinnamon and your whole house smells amazing. Is hung over the main door into the house. On New Year's Day, you sweep each doorway in the house, ending with the main doorway, using the broom. Then, you huck it in the fireplace or use it in a bonfire, and your whole house smells like cinnamon. You can always make a besom yourself and scent it with essential oils yourself if you lack a Trader Joe's or cinnamon isn't your bag. There are also websites that sell scented besoms. I ring of mushrooms as a fairy ring. Don't freaking walk into it, unless you want to have to deal with some mega balls that will drive you crazy. A trail of mushrooms in a long line is a fairy path. Don't step on it unless you want to deal with some mega bulls. 2 unusual ones that may just apply to me. 1. The date the 16th of August is extremely unlucky. For several years in a row, a relative or a pet died on that date. Got in my only car accident to date on 8/16. Albeit a minor fender bender. I try not to have anything important scheduled on that date. Edit. This is also the death date for Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, and Babe Ruth, the king of baseball. 2. If I begin dating someone new, I don't enter their number into my phone. In the past, every time I've felt it was safe to save her number, she would unexpectedly break it off. Now I'm engaged, and I still don't have her number saved. The added bonus, I had to memorize it, and now if I lose my phone or it dies, I'll still be able to call her. I usually get pulled over on my birthday every year, 3 years running, and I refuse to drive that day now. The death comes in 3. It seems to be the case in my life, anyway. If I've had 2 people in my life recently pass away, I get anxious about who the third will be. Then I feel relieved if it's a distant relative or vague acquaintance instead of someone closer. Same. Earlier this year, a girl I went to high school with died in a car accident. A month later, a guy I went to another school with died of a H overdose. A month after that, a really close co-worker died of a heart attack. He wasn't even 20. For me, every time it happens, the third is generally the one out of the 3 I'm closest to. Never close a knife that has been opened by someone else. Either give back open if it was given to you open, or close it if you opened it. Usually because their knife has an unnecessarily complicated mechanism that will freaking slice you open when you're trying to figure out how to close it. If you pack a bit more than you think you'll need for a trip, you won't use half of it. If you pack a bit less, because you'll never use it all, you will have a need for more than you packed with you. There is a portal to another dimension that will open randomly and devour items. The catch only happens to things the size of a pen and smaller. I cannot tell you how many pens I have dropped on flat, open floors only to have them poof out of existence. There is a special one where all guitar picks go. Then, they are transported to the most random place available. When watching sports, if my team scores or wins, I try replicate everything. My seating arrangement to some of things I did during the day. This is usually only during the playoffs. I once watched a game where my team scored every time I entered the room after a commercial break. I thought it might have been a funny coincidence after the second time, so I decided to try again, and it somehow worked. I always check the shower before pooping just in case someone is waiting there to murder me. Also, my great-grandmother believed that if she ran up and down her hall before she slept, she wouldn't die in her sleep. She did it for the rest of her life. I joke most of the time, but I swear every time we have a full moon, the children at our daycare preschool go bonkers. I mean, it's all confirmation bias, but sometimes I can't help but wonder if it's true because I have one child that is so sweet and nice turn into this tantrum throwing hitter and biter every full moon. Your knowing it's a full moon could change your behavior in a way that influences the kids. You need a double-blind study. Maybe try a couple months of not knowing the moon cycle, but writing down a little blurb each day on how the kids acted. Then go back and match up the moon cycle in retrospect. USB plugs are in a state of superposition until you try to put it in a port without checking which way it is, at which point it's the wrong way. But then the other way is still the wrong way. Then you think you're going back to the first way and it works. But it isn't really the first way, it's a rotation along the fifth dimension. The fairies in the wood. Anytime you say something predictive, the fairies who live in wood will go out and find ways to make you wrong. I was sitting at work, restaurant, one day twiddling my thumbs and I remarked to a co-worker that in the 4 years I'd been there we'd never been that dead. 2 minutes later 2 full buses come around the corner and we had just short of 80 people being taken care of by 1 server, 1 host, 1 manager, and 1 cook. Always knock on the wood. It does as those freaking fairies. Nothing pink on my boat. And if it is pink, I use rubber worms for bass fishing in that color. Then it must be referred to as bubblegum. Also, no bananas. These are old sailor superstitions, but still, they stay off my boat. Nothing goes right when somebody is watching X, seeing something amazing, or performing something, and saying to someone, come look at this, and by the time they get there the thing is gone, or you can no longer do it. As a baseball player, superstitions basically run the game of baseball. Any of your typical walking under a ladder or opening an umbrella inside are big no-nos. However, more specific for baseball players are not letting other people use your bat, eating a certain flavor of seeds, waking up at the same time each day, the list goes on and on. That when older women dream of fish, someone in the family or close to the family is pregnant. My grandmother hasn't been wrong yet. I actually have a really screwed up one for this. I can't name a child Joe. Apparently there's a curse on the name Joe in my family. I asked my mom about it. She's generally not a superstitious lady, and she said yeah, every Joe on your father's side has died young and tragically. So I asked around a bit and apparently there were 4 attempts at Joes and they either weren't carried to term, suffered SIDS, or died in a ranch accident. Needless to say I love the name, but no way in heck am I going to name a future kid or even a future pet Joe. That bad crap happens after 3 AM. I used to take long walks at night that lasted till morning, except when this crap happened. Out walking down the street at 3 AM when I hear this soft tapping coming up behind me. I turn around to see a Joey, baby kangaroo, jumping down the street and past me, without even looking at me or nothing. I saw no other kangaroos around. Next, I was chilling at a playground when all of a sudden I hear a cat screeching from a few houses away. I hear the sound of the cat screeching move all the way up the street then suddenly stop. Yet nah, went home that night, or morning. Next I was chilling at the same spot. Now this spot is surrounded by 4 houses. 3 of them have dogs. So if you make a sudden, loud sound, it would alarm 1 dog. Then the barking would wake and alarm the second one and so on. But on this night at 3 AM, all 3 dogs went ape crap at exactly the same time for about 10 minutes straight. Then all stopped at once. Crap was cray. I've also had sudden thunderstorms happen at exactly 3 AM. I'm not in no way a superstitious person, but too many of these things happen at exactly 3 AM for it to creep me out. TL. Dr. Weird crap happens at 3 AM. I am pretty convinced about the chupacabra. I once went on a mission trip near the Mexican border and there was a stray dog that we started calling chupacabra. The Mexican guys working with us got so freaked out they stopped working and the local church pastor had to come tell us to shut up. It was pretty eerie seeing those grown men that freaked out. Yeah, you don't crack jokes about crap like the chupacabra or La Llorona in Mexico. It's like going onto an Arizona res and talking real loud about skinwalkers and the Wendigo. That owls announce the death of one you know. It happened to my grandmother. She was dead in the next 4 hours. One of the cool neighbors, dead the next day. Just previous week the guy about 4 houses away, dead in the same night. I didn't believe it at first but now I am starting to get spooked every time I hear owl. You realize you don't have to kill every time you hear an owl. One superstition that most people seem to have is the idea that you can feel someone looking at you. There is no scientific basis for that belief. It's just superstition. I work in IT. On call or not, if you even think about a problem occurring, it will happen and you will be called. Last week I took vacation and drove 10 hours to NC. Got there, sat down and my friends absently asked, "Hey, are you on call for work right now?" "No," I responded. and that very second my boss texted me saying they needed me to work to resolve some issue. Frick IT. Me. Oh look, all the 18-wheelers are staying in the right lane. Might actually make it in good time. 18-wheelers everywhere. Changes to left lane for the next 20 miles. Me. Streamer loot. If you stream PUBG you always get mad loot. If you don't you end up with a crowbar and 7 different attachments for an AR you don't have. This is a weird superstition that my family believes it, but basically if you sleep with wet hair then you'll get bad eyesight. To this day I always make sure my hair is dry before sleeping or taking a nap. I once made up my own superstition. I told a woman, if you make a wish at the exact moment you give somebody else an orgasm, the energy added to the universe makes that wish come true. She went down on me and wished to win some money just as I nutted. A few days later she actually did win a couple thousand at a casino. That was the only time her wish came true, but it took her a long time to figure out that it wasn't working anymore. Sex magic. The reason it worked the first time is because there was no resistance from her. The other times she was attaching too much focus and expectation on what she wanted, so it didn't come to pass. This is legit the easiest way to explain it. When you can't find parking and finally reluctantly park 2 blocks away, a parking spot much closer will appear as you walk to your destination. Whenever you absolutely need to read something important while driving, but decide to do the responsible thing and only look while you're stopped at the next red light, you will get nothing but green lights all the way to your destination. I played D&D and I need to roll all my d20s until I get a 20 on all of them before I start playing. If I don't roll them first, then how do I know that they work properly? Working in a psychiatric clinic. My co-worker will literally murder you if you dare to say the name of a patient that is usually a regular in here, but not there at the moment. An innocent question, Ayla, hey, it is cool that Mr. XY is not here anymore. How is he doing? Works like a charm and it ought to happen. This exact patient will come to the clinic's door within the next few minutes, probably handcuffed and worse than ever. It's the same as my clinic. I'll randomly think about a patient who hasn't been in for a while and one that is usually on the annoying needy side, and boom, they walk in or call to make an appointment. I swear to God I experience rather severe, about 120 beats per minute, tachycardia for hours each time there is a solar flare, and I am 22-year-old guy. I know that there's no causal mechanism to explain this, and I am not an anxious guy, so I don't experience it solely because I know there is a solar flare, but I still do. If you live in an area that gets a lot of snow and don't want a lot of snow one season, just go out and buy a snowblower. Without fail, every neighbor of mine who buys a snowblower never gets to use it for their first season having it. I played baseball from first grade all through high school for various teams. Every game day morning, the team would get together and say we're gonna lose. We lost a collective 6 games. Nowadays, if I have a job interview or something else I don't want to frick up, I tell myself that I will, in fact, frick it up. Still pulling around a 95% success rate. Replace a part in a computer and put the case on before testing and you'll increase your chances of the fix not working. Test with the case still open and you'll have a higher chance of fixing the problem. A black cat crossing your path is bad luck. In my house it meant they'd literally get under your feet and attempt to trip you up until you fed them. I have no proof, but I'm pretty sure the universe or some omnipotent being hates me and wants to watch me crash and burn, because every single time things start to go right for me, something worse happens without fail. It freaking sucks. The better it gets for me, the worse the thing is. That fairies pixies exist. My Irish grandparents believed in them totally, to a degree that makes me think there had to be something to it. I know it sounds nuts, but hey, 100 years ago atoms and molecules were fanciful notions. Potatoes are a heck of a drug. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.